In this video, we're going to look at tracing images and drawings. Let's start with opening up a new file at A3. Now you may see something totally different on your version of Illustrator, but what we want basically is an A3 vertical format. Now the first thing we've got to do is import our image. So we go to File, Place, and we're going to use an ear. Now you have a choice of either clicking what you're importing and will give you the size of the actual image, or you may, as you import, click and drag. Right, so that was the two ways we can actually import or place an image into Illustrator. First thing we need is our layer menu. We need to lock this layer and create a new layer above it in which we will draw. So let's call it our shape layer, because we are going to draw the shape of the ear, and then we'll draw lines showing the detail of the ear. And that will be our line layer above the shape layer. Let's zoom in. Command plus will allow you to zoom in. Spacebar will allow you to then, using the mouse and holding down the spacebar, move around your artboard. Now we're going to use the tool set that's under the pen tool, and it's the pen tool, the add anchor point tool, the delete anchor point tool, and the anchor point tool. Each one of these things does something quite specific. It's pretty obvious what the add and delete do, but the anchor point tool allows you to modify a curve. Okay, let's start with the pen tool proper. And remembering from our previous videos that when you click and drag, you are commencing what will be a curved line. So the fewer anchor points you use, the better it will be for your drawing. So I'm moving along to the top of the curve, clicking and dragging to create a curved line, but we create a problem as well because we forgot to turn off the fill. If we hit escape on the keyboard, we can get out of that extending line from the pen tool. It's a bit of a nuisance, but it's there for good reason. So we bring the fill to the front of the stroke by clicking on it, and then go here, and that now knocks out the effects of the fill on the line we are currently on. So let's put the stroke back on top, and we may even want to change the color of the stroke so it's a bit more visible to us against the ear and the hair. Let's go to our swatches and maybe choose something contrasting like blue or even green. Let's try a light blue. It's already kind of visible there for you. If I zoom in. Okay. So in order to continue with our line, we're back to our pen tool. We'll hover over the anchor point, and you'll notice there's a diagonal line at the bottom right of the pen tool. That means you're continuing on with that line. So click and move along to the next point at the top of the curve here, for example. And that's about right. And moving to the next point, click it. Ooh, the curve isn't perfect, so what we'll do is we'll put our next anchor point in this indentation before the earlobe kind of protrudes out. Now what you'll notice is a huge error is going to happen, but really it doesn't matter because we can change that particular curve which is not aligned with the ear simply by hitting the command key. And what will happen is your pen tool will change from it being a pen to being a direct selection tool. Now this is because the last tool I used in this range here, the black arrow and the white arrow, the direct selection tool and the selection tool, the last tool I used amongst those two was the direct selection tool, which means when I hit the command key, it will go to the direct selection tool. Okay, so let me hit command, and I can now just drag that line back into position and making sure that the one above doesn't wobble out. I can come back here later and fix this up if I'm really concerned about that little gap, but that's fine. I'm happy with that. Now I can just continue with the drawing. Now, we've got to make decisions about what we include. So I might just go back a step. That was Command Z, and make that line a little longer, and then just go straight up, maybe make a little bump here. Now to finish this shape, I have to do this thing. This is really, really, really important. I can't emphasize this enough. What you're going to do is move to the anchor point on which you started and click on it. This will now close that line and create a editable shape. Okay, so let's just see the work we've done. Bring back our layers and just knock out the visibility of the image layer. And there's our ear, and we can look at it to see what we can correct. I'm not really happy with that very sharp bend on that anchor. The rest seems fine. I might just return to it, bring back the image. I bring back my selection tool. I need to go now to the anchor point tool, this little Greek lambda shape or arrow shape, and I can click on that, which gets rid of the curve altogether, or I can bring the curve back if I wanted to make it a little curvier. I might do the same here. And hit command and just bring that back. Now that we've made our shape, the main shape of the ear, we can now progress onto creating the detail within the ear. And I'm just going to use line for this purpose. So I'm going to lock the shape layer and now make a new layer. This will be line detail. Okay, good. Now, basically you have to determine what you think is significant. What is representative of the ear? Because without some lines within the ear, it's just kind of a weird oval shape. So let's go back to our pen tool. I will start from about here, trace all the way around this outer ear. So I might just start right here, go to here, move that along, and move that along. Now, I go to my direct selection tool again, just by hitting command, and I can make my little adjustments. Lovely. And done. Okay. I might just get rid of that handle. Let's have a look now. Cool. We're almost there with enough detail to signify ear. That looks pretty okay. So what else do I require to make an ear look like an ear? Okay. So I need to click off the current line that I've selected. I can just do that by hitting the command key and just basically clicking anywhere else. Okay, what else does this ear need? Let's bring the image back. Okay, so right now the stroke is blue. Using my swatches, make that kind of a brown color. And the fill is blank. I may want to use, back to my swatches, I might just do that as an orange. I would also like to make my stroke a little heavier. So I go to the stroke tool to make that line a little wider. And our stroke tool, you'll notice, has many of its options hidden. So we've got to make these visible. So what you need to do is go click on this right hand icon and show options. And then you can see a whole bunch of options. And essentially what this does is it makes things either have a round or sharp kind of corners and edges. I will first have to select the ear, then select the middle band. Hopefully it'll make some slight adjustments, make things a little smoother. But I'm really here for the weight. What I'd like to do now is go to the line detail layer. You can then select the lines progressively by holding down the Shift key. You can also select through the layer itself. If all the things you want to select are on the one layer, you can just go here to the right end of the layer and just select all the objects within it. What I would like to do is to copy the properties of the contour of the ear and impose those properties to those lines I've just selected. We do this using the eyedropper. Just click with the eyedropper on the line you want copied. Now I'll bring back my image layer, select the ear shape and deselect the fill. This is an opportunity for you to see what happens when you don't deselect the fill when using lines. So the first and last anchor kind of join together automatically, but that is not, strictly speaking, a closed shape. It's an open line. Whenever you want to use a line on its own, make sure the fill is off. Okay. I can now return back to my drawing. It needs a couple of little details to make it look more like an ear. So let me just proceed back to the pen tool. Well, that's looking more like an ear. Depending on what purpose this drawing will serve, you will have to determine whether you want to add more detail or remove detail. Now, if this was going to be a part of a logo, I would like as little detail as I need to signify an ear